Yo, it's your boy Willie Joe, and you're watching Thizzler. Subscribe below. Willie Joe, just a young OG out of VALLEJO, California. Been at this rap thing for a very long time. Been a part of a lot of movements. Been a part of a lot of situations that helped shape the Bay in certain ways, and now we're here. Oh, everything. The first CD I ever had was E40, Mr. Flamboyant. I seen it on the floor walking home from elementary school, picked it up, played it in my dad's CD player, and was a fan of E40 ever since. So it pretty much just shaped my whole childhood, and it gave me a passion, gave me like something early to like focus on and want to do. Crazy, because growing up, it was always a thing for me. Like, everybody had stories about E40. I would see him like in passing, but it was never like up close and personal. Like, I remember I went to my first video shoot I ever went to was his video shoot with the Click, Tired of Being Stepped On. They did it at my elementary school in the hillside, and so I always seen him, and he always kind of shaped me without knowing him. So it was crazy. Like, now we got a relationship. We talk all the time. Like, I live in Atlanta now, so he be out there in Atlanta fooling with me, and it's just dope to have now a relationship with somebody I looked up to. Pretty much, I was in Atlanta visiting my sister. I was out there with my boy Pills, rest in peace. We was chilling, we was in the studio, and I got the beat and the email, and then that was the first thing that I thought of to say I'm from the Bay, bro, because the name of the beat was Eastside Oakland, bro. And then I was like, what's that? And then he was like, oh, that ain't nothing. When producers be trying to act like they didn't want to play the beat, so he played it. I was like, oh, that's it. That's the first thing I said, is I'm from the Bay, bro. As soon as I did it, I knew I wanted E40 on it. And then just so happened when I came back, I was with my boy Ken, and we was at a Macklemore show backstage, and he brought E40 out, so 40 was backstage, and then I told him about the song. He was like, send it over. Sent it. He sent it back, and then, it was another part of that story. As soon as he sent it back, I felt like I had to make like a real move. So like it was like a new company coming up. Like at the time, it was called Thizzler on the Roof, and it was my boy Matt, because I met him because I was a part of a group, not a group, but a little faction called Fly Nigga Movement. Me, Neo, Traxamillion, Irk the Jerk, and we had I convinced Matt to put together a show for Thizzler, and he did that thing, and then we kind of like built from there. So when I had the song, some told me like, get with him before I release it, and then I got with him. We kind of like created a little plan with it, and then hey, I'm from the Bay, bro came out.
What? And you did a remix.
Yeah, and the remix went up even more. Like with that, I'm like a real fan of like culture. So when I was growing up, it was all about Rap City, 106 and Park, like stuff like that. So I used to love remixes. I used to love when I Got 5 on it, had everybody on it. I remember stuff like that. So I just kind of wanted to do something like that, like just in my own means, try to get the whole Bay on one record, like the old times. And that's what I tried to attempt to do. We did a cool job. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I look at my rap career as like two phases. It's because a lot of people in the Bay Area know the whole I'm from the Bay, bruh, and 22nd Letter and Fly Nigga Move, stuff like that. But I had a whole 10 years before that with a whole nother accolades before that. Like as soon as fresh out of, like not right out of high school, but probably a couple of years, I moved to Atlanta because my sister was going to school out there, just trying to pursue something. I messed around and, got a situation. I signed to Jazzy Faye and Capitol Records at that time. And I had a song that was popular out there called Get 'Em Got 'Em Good. And I was performing it, and everybody was loving it. And that's kind of like where my connection started, is because through my performance and just being the new dude from the Bay that wasn't trying to conform to Atlanta sound, I was just, because you gotta remember, this was hyphy time. So I'm in Atlanta where everybody here going crazy with how if you tell me when to go, you got all the new acts coming out, the team and all that type of stuff. I'm in Atlanta trying to do my version of representing that there. Like, took it upon myself, like, okay, this is gonna be my lane, like, do that here in Atlanta. So I kind of did that, and all the labels, everybody was trying to like holler at me. So that's kind of where I started to build my connections with out there in Atlanta through that situation. Yeah, you Google it, man. That little skinny dude moving hella fast. Like, it was dope though. And then so basically, when it fell apart, because I had signed, like I said, Jazzy Faye, him and his partner, they broke up 6 months after signing. And the person that signed me to Capitol passed away in his sleep, Ronnie Johnson. He actually signed me and Clyde Carson at the same time. Like, around the time when Clyde was on Black Wall Street. Clyde went to Black Wall Street, I went to Show Enough, but we both were distributed by Capitol. And that person that signed, both of us passed away like 6 months after. So that's what sparked me to like kind of come back to the Bay Area. Because the biggest thing was I left the Bay Area fresh out of being, school and stuff like that. So I didn't have no roots of me foundation in the Bay. So when everybody would call the Vons, the A-Mans, people like that, like, hey, Willie Joe out here going crazy in Atlanta, I had no foundation, so they probably heard of me or whatever, but I got no traction. So I took that time upon myself, like, you know what? Fuck all this major deal stuff. I'm finna move back to the Bay, get with my partners, my day ones. Cause we used to have like, Water Boys, whole little rap crews back in the days, and I just decided we finna make that a company and we finna do our own thing. And that's when like I came, and one of the first things I did was get with Irk the Jerk, Trax A Million, and Neo, and we made the little faction, and that's kind of how I introduced myself in the Bay Area scene without doing the groundwork of like having to do hella years to make people know me. Is because I got with people that knew me off of my Atlanta stuff, and they already had the audience in the Bay, so getting with them made the audience pay attention to me. And that kind of started it, and then from there, they had the song Monte Ellis, and then on and on and on. Both of my bruhs, 22nd letter, all of us rep VALLEJO. V is the 22nd letter in the alphabet. Cousin Feek got at me like one day at the barbershop and was like, hey, let's do a song. And we did the song at his house or whatever. Then he called me like a week later, like, hey, you ever heard of Neff the Pharaoh? And I knew him because his mom was, real cool in the neighborhood and stuff. And I remember one day we was at my boy Ian, he be doing these little annual picnics at the park, Dan Foley and stuff like that. I went there one time with my boy Gooch and Wood, and we was there, and she came up to me like, hey, this is my son, Neff the Pharaoh. Neff was like 15 years old. Like, this is my son, Neff the Pharaoh. He really want to rap. She knew us for rapping around the city and stuff like that. We used to check him out, woo woo. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, I rock with him. Like keep going, woo woo. So from there, I used to always see him in passing if I went to SAC or if I was at certain little functions, and I used to always tap in with him, like, let's do it. So when I did the song with Feek called me and said he put Neff on the song. So when I heard the song of all three of us on the one song, it just hit me, bow. I'm like, bruh, because I was a fan of like stuff like Slaughterhouse and like even a fan of Filthy, and then when they did the One Mob, like I really thought that was smart, like to do that at a time where you get every three different people got attention on them and you can bring attention on one cause, like repping your city. Like, so I just got at Feek about it. Neff came over, he was with it. We did like 4 songs in one night. Feek had a session with E40 2 days later, let 40 hear it. 40 like, oh, I gotta be down. He called us over, we had a meeting. So we had a meeting about 22nd letter, but mind you, a week before the meeting, Neff drops big timing. So it's like starting the bubble. I remember the day he said he was finna drop it, we was at Ace of Spade. I was performing with California Live, shout out to them. And I let Neff go before me, with me, because we had the song together. So we performed the song, but backstage, he was playing the big timing on his phone, like, I'm about to drop this. He had the cover, he had the visual ready, everything. He like, man, it's gonna be the one. He dropped it the next day, and I literally watched it with my own eyes go up, like, go crazy. And that's crazy, because the same thing happened in the Fly Nigga Movement situation, is because when we were recording that project, Irk recorded right there. And he said, this is a new song I record, woo woo, and I watched that go up. So I be feeling good about being a part of this because, now that I look back at it, I realized that I was like the jewel, the foundation, a part of these situations to like spark this, whether that's to motivate somebody to go even harder, to get even more creative. Like I kind of was like the seeds of that, just being passionate and rocking with people. Like, so with the 22nd letter, we had a meeting with 40. 40 was hollering at Neff, like, hey, you got a situation. End up, doing the 22nd letter, was sick with it. And Neff did it, his situation was sick with it, and everything went up from there. I think that's what led me to being good at it. As far as leading into it, I never thought about it a day in my life until the second my boy, shout out to Lake, man, my boy Lake Sheezy, like, he called me one day and was like, which Lake Sheezy, was the manager for Lil Uzi and also the co-owner with Don Cannon and Drama with Generation Now. Uzi, EXO Tour Life just went crazy. They just got a distribution deal from Atlantic to be a label. And he kind of hit me like, we were thinking you would be good as an A&R. And this was at a time where my boy Pills just died. My artist I just signed for the first time trying to be an entrepreneur, Pretty Boy, he passed away. Like, and I was just confused about rapping. I was confused about everything. Cause I always felt rapping wise that I was that nigga. Like I always felt like I was always the glue. I was always a part of stuff, but everybody always got the credit. Everybody always was the people that people looked at. And I took it personally at first when I didn't really understand. And then I realized like, that's part of my journey. That's part of what makes me me. Like, it's not about getting the credit. It's about actually knowing that you the person at the post of it, like, and knowing that you can start anything that you want to do. And I kind of like, once he asked me to be A&R, I kind of looked at it like, this is my chance to kind of transition in like my new chapter, like, and I kind of got out my own way, and I've been doing it for a year now. So I A&R'd Cluminati's album. It's out right now called Yellow Tape, like 10 million streams and going. A&R my boy Lil James. Shout out to Jack Harlow. New project finna come, A&R Drama's, DJ Drama's whole album that's about to drop. His new single finna drop with P&B Rock and Moneybagg Yo. I got a new artist I found named Seti Hendrix. He's from Florida, Jacksonville. I got him signed also to Generation Now. His new, I don't know when this dropped, but his new single dropped tomorrow. New project at the end of the month. So it's just a lot of things that's happening. It's kind of like now I'm finally like, it's starting to get into the phase of really being A&R, really being a part of things and being responsible for things on a major label, just like I was without even trying back in the day with the examples I said. Now I'm like really doing it on a real scale where the world's really seeing it and, seeing the results of what we do. So it's dope. There's different levels. I feel like it's, you got like some levels where you got people that just really collect checks and put stuff together because they got deep relationships. And then you got people that are passionate about it, where it's really about the development. Like for me, my responsibility, I would say, for Generation Now and being A&R is either finding the talent or helping develop the talent. So it's kind of like you just have a knack for, new untapped talent, but also kind of know what like lane that person's in, like know exactly what producer to take that person to, or what, if it's a singer or vocal coach to take it to, or what engineer it needs, like, cause that's the thing I learned now on the other side, like all them things count. Like the artist needs all that to be right. His engineer, his video person, his boo for it to really be a functioning thing. So it's kind of like I feel A&R's job to help guide and get that together for them and go through the process with them. Just like the name, Generation Now, you expect us to be now. You know what I mean? It's a lot of labels out there that's doing their thing. The one thing you can expect from us is the same example they showed with Uzi, is where we can find somebody that you don't know from a can of paint, and we can develop them to be superstars. And we kind of like, we kind of standing on that, as far as the whole team. Shout out to my fly A&R brother, Royce Monroe, man. The whole squad, we work very hard on just making sure, we carve out what we bring into the table, and that's to find new untapped talent and make them household names. Like, so that's the main thing you can expect. So Jack Harlow, you know, he's already bubbling, but just expect him to really take over and just really be in your face everywhere. Like I said, Seddy Hendrix, he coming. Cluminati, she working on her new one. Lil James, you know, and we got a couple other new people that we finna pick up. So, and Lil Uzi coming to his new one too. So watch out for that. Man, the Bay, I be tapped in with the Bay. Let's see, I would say, one person I would say, the person I think, you know what I mean, I don't wanna get no flack in this comments, person I think is the hottest artist out the Bay Area right now that the whole Bay Area need to get behind and promote and get him out there and get over the hump is Rex Life Ra. I think that what he brings to the table is what the world needs to see from the Bay Area now, because they done seen every other version. I think they haven't seen that kind of version of a Bay Area artist, and I think the world needs to see that. I like a lot of people though. Who I like? As far as like new, of course, you know, Neff's a superstar. I think Shooter Gang Coney is crazy with it. I think he rap very good. JT the Fourth, like I think he was on the Nav stuff before the Nav, and he, you know, don't really get his credit, but he's very unique and very dope with how he comes with it. Queen Foreigner, she might be one of the illest female rappers out the Bay Area, for real, for real. 9 too, I really like how 9 be focused and really stay in her lane and do her. Obviously SOB, you know what I mean, come crazy. Capaloaf 304, hit maker. Keep doing what you're doing, boy, I see you. This off the top of the head, so I can't, this all a bunch of people, you know what I mean? I just people like that, you know, they dope. And of course, you know, I'm really excited, but I know, you know what I mean? I keep saying this Brandon Lee. I really rock with him, man, you know what I mean? And I want, you know, Thizzler and everyone to give my mans a chance, man, you know what I'm saying? Because he's really a young man out of Fairfield, California, that's doing him at a time where it's so easy to do everybody else. And, you know, and as y'all know, as y'all discover music, all the artist really needs, a true artist, is your ear and to understand where they're coming from, to really build with them. It ain't gonna take, one listen is not gonna do it. Building with them is gonna do it. So, you know, to all the artists out there, trust the process. I know, you know, rest in peace to Nip, the marathon continues, that's real. That's a real slogan. Like the artists that understand that the process and enjoy it are the artists that get rich and be famous and be all out here. The ones that get frustrated and want to give up and fire everybody and fall out with everybody and have new teams and all that stuff is the people that don't understand the process and want it to happen immediately because they think they're that good and it should be, but they don't have an understanding of the business. So please understand what you're doing, please. Yeah, man, we created the drip. Check this out, bro. You see this? Always dripping right here, man. The first drip project I dropped on Empire, that was 2014. We were saying we were the Water Boys. We grew up as the Water Boys, right? Because we rep that Water Bay Area, blah, 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 blah. My boy Shay Sanchez, because I was like, man, we need to change this shit, man. Water Boys, we've been doing that. It was other people a part of that wasn't around. It's something that's still around. We just need a whole new phase, whole new wave. My man Shay Sanchez said, what you think about the drip? And I was like, oh, that's hard, Drip Squad. We need to have a drip with a little face. Guy was Stoney Bobby, he made the logo. Then I came with the Doper album and I splattered it everywhere. Mind you, my platform is not huge, so the world's not gonna hear Willie Joe talking about the drip. But the Bay Area, they know what the hell's going on. So you might not wanna say it and all that, that's cool. I say it for you. Y'all can run with the drip god and all that type of stuff. I don't rap no more, so I hope you are the drip god and do all y'all thing now. But just know, that squad, that drip, yeah, buddy. No, man. You can get you a nice shirt too, man. DripSquadWorldwide.com. And you know, you can be a part of the wave. Yeah. Very accurate. I think it's not because of the Bay hating on each other, like how I've always heard coming up. I think it's more like it's a gift and a curse, because the same way that I can move to Atlanta, or you hear other stories of somebody moving to Houston or who from the Bay and they like make something of themselves, is because the same way we were blessed with the Bay mouthpiece and the Bay game and the Bay entrepreneurship way of thinking, the curse of that is we do the same thing to our people. So it's like we would rather like have our own thing. Like you right there, and your fucking vans, your custom vans go crazy, and like it's explanatory. I should go to you for custom vans, but something telling me I might need to do my own custom vans. Like, you know what I mean? I need to get my own custom van popping. It's more like, it's a given curse because it's dope to think like an entrepreneur and to think like self-efficient, but it's also not good because you're losing the whole side of teamwork, make the dream work. And like, it don't matter what you do, I don't care what you're talking about, it can never reach to a level if it's not a team. And you know, the great people at Thizzler can test for that. Like, one person cannot do it. Like, it has to be a team and everyone on the same page in order to have any kind of results. So I think that's the only part that's missing in the Bay, is just, they're not, I mean, because I come from the Bay, my generation wasn't taught, so how the heck the new generation now is being taught? Like, we're not being taught to like rock with each other, we're being taught to be like shit on that nigga. Like, that's what we're being taught. And it's, like I said, it's a given curse because it gives you confidence, it teaches you to be, but it's also damaging us because if another nigga popping, like, and I'm popping, we'd rather like make a diss song about each other than like get on the song together and then it big pop. Like, we just don't think like that. And hopefully it can get better with people in position, with new artists that understand that concept. You know what I mean? And like me as an artist, I was trying to do that. You know what I mean? That's what the whole Fly Nigga movement was about. That's what the whole 22nd Letter was about. That's what the whole 30 People on I'm From the Bay remix was about. That's what the whole, since the day I met Matt, putting him on other people and I'm an artist. Like, that's what that was about, is trying to start that, you know what I mean, and plant that seed. But sometimes people don't receive it that way. Some people might not look at it like, oh, Joe did that for me, I'm gonna do that for somebody else. You know, everybody's not the same. I'm gonna be honest, I think it'll take for the influencers and the leaders to kind of to do more things in a time and in a place where California is so expensive, where you have to do things with the idea of money. If you're involved in in a business where music is a culture, right? So even though niggas done found ways and found niches to make money off the culture, the way to give back to the culture, the way how you go to church and you give tithes, the way you give your tithe to the culture is doing things for the culture, where culture has an opportunity to be a part of it and it has no financial tie to it. That's how you give back. Like, that's how why rich people do charity. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's how you give back and more blessings come. I think people don't understand the idea. Once we start making money from things, we just be on the money. And we don't realize that as this thing going up, we're becoming more and more of a culture. So me as an A&R for a major company, y'all as a major website outlet, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it's our responsibility not to do too much, because we don't owe nobody nothing and we're not responsible for nobody to come up, but we are responsible to know that the more we come up and the more we're blessed, the way we give it back is blessing others, you know what I'm saying? But being consistent with it, because we all have examples of blessing people, but just being consistent with it, you know, and realizing that it ain't up to us to change people's mentality, it's just up to us to plant the seeds and let it be. Hopefully they get it.